The sun was shining brightly over the small town of Willow Creek, where 8-year-old Emma sat in her wheelchair, her eyes wide with excitement. Today was no ordinary day. Emma, who had been battling a rare brain disorder since birth, had been invited to a special event at the local community center. Her parents, Sarah and Michael, had told her it was going to be a surprise, but they couldn't hide their own nervous excitement. Emma's condition had made her life a series of challenges, but her spirit remained unbroken. She was a fighter, and her smile could light up even the darkest room. As they arrived at the community center, Emma noticed a large crowd gathered outside. There were cameras, reporters, and people holding signs that read, "We love Emma," and "Stay strong." Emma's heart raced. "What's going on, Mom?" she asked, her voice filled with curiosity. Sarah knelt beside her daughter, brushing a strand of hair from Emma's face. "You'll see, sweetheart. Just wait a little longer," she said, her voice trembling with emotion. Inside the center, the atmosphere was electric. The room was decorated with balloons and banners, and a stage had been set up at the front. Emma's eyes darted around, taking in the scene. She noticed a group of children from her school, all wearing matching t-shirts with her name on them. "Is this for me?" Emma whispered, her voice barely audible. Michael nodded, his eyes glistening with tears. "Yes, Emma. Today is all about you." Just as Emma was about to ask more questions, the room fell silent. The crowd parted, and a man in a dark suit and red tie walked onto the stage. Emma's eyes widened in disbelief. It was him, the man she had seen on TV countless times, the man her parents had always talked about. It was Donald Trump, the former president of the United States. Emma's heart skipped a beat. "Is that?" she started to ask, but her words were cut off as Trump approached the microphone. "Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls," Trump began, his voice booming through the room. "Today, we are here to celebrate a very special young lady, someone who has shown incredible courage and strength in the face of adversity, someone who inspires us all to be better, to do better. That young lady is Emma." The crowd erupted into applause, and Emma felt her cheeks flush with embarrassment and pride. She looked up at her parents, who were both crying now, and then back at Trump, who was smiling warmly at her. Trump stepped down from the stage and walked over to Emma, kneeling beside her wheelchair. "Emma, I've heard so much about you," he said, his voice softer now. "You're a true hero, and I wanted to meet you in person, to tell you how proud I am of you." Emma's eyes filled with tears. She had never imagined that someone as important as Donald Trump would take the time to meet her, let alone call her a hero. "Thank you, Mr. Trump," she whispered, her voice trembling. But Trump wasn't done. He reached into his pocket and pulled out a small box. "Emma, I have a little something for you," he said, opening the box to reveal a beautiful gold medal. The crowd gasped as Trump placed the medal around Emma's neck. "This is the Presidential Medal of Courage," he explained. "It's given to people who show extraordinary bravery and strength. And today, I'm honored to present it to you." Emma's hands trembled as she touched the medal, her heart swelling with pride. She looked up at Trump, her eyes filled with gratitude. "Thank you, Mr. Trump," she said again, her voice stronger this time. The room erupted into cheers and applause once more, but Emma barely noticed. All she could think about was the man standing before her, the man who had just made her feel like the most important person in the world. As Trump stood up and waved to the crowd, Emma felt a surge of hope. For the first time in a long time, she felt like anything was possible. And she knew that this was a day she would never forget. As the applause died down, Trump returned to the microphone, his expression serious. "But that's not all," he said, his voice commanding the attention of everyone in the room. "Emma, I've been following your story for a while now, and I've been deeply moved by your courage. So, I've decided to do something special for you and your family." The room fell silent, everyone waiting with bated breath to hear what Trump would say next. Emma's parents exchanged nervous glances. They had no idea what was coming, but they could feel that it was something big. Trump continued, "I've arranged for Emma to receive the best medical care available. We're going to fly her and her family to New York, where she'll be treated by some of the top doctors in the world, and we're going to cover all the expenses." The crowd erupted into cheers once more, but Emma's parents were too stunned to react. They looked at each other, tears streaming down their faces, unable to believe what they had just heard. Emma, however, was beaming. "New York?" she asked, her voice filled with excitement. "Are we really going to New York?" Trump nodded, a smile spreading across his face. "Yes, Emma. We're going to do everything we can to help you get better. You deserve nothing but the best." Emma's heart soared. She had always dreamed of visiting New York, but she had never imagined it would be under these circumstances. As the reality of the situation began to sink in, Sarah and Michael rushed forward to thank Trump. "Mr. Trump, we don't know how to thank you," Sarah said, her voice choked with emotion. "This means everything to us." Trump shook their hands warmly. "It's my pleasure," he said. "Emma is an incredible young girl, and I'm just happy to be able to help." Michael nodded, his eyes filled with gratitude. "You've given us hope," he said, "and that's something we haven't had in a long time." The rest of the event passed in a blur. Emma was surrounded by well-wishers, all eager to congratulate her and offer their support. But all she could think about was the upcoming trip to New York and the chance to receive the medical care she so desperately needed. As the event came to an end, Trump approached Emma one last time. "I'll be seeing you in New York, Emma," he said, giving her a wink, "and I can't wait to see you get better." Emma smiled, her heart filled with hope. "Thank you, Mr. Trump," she said. "I'll make you proud." As Trump left the stage, the crowd erupted into one final round of applause. Emma's parents hugged her tightly, their tears of joy mingling with hers. For the first time in a long time, they felt like they had a real chance. And they knew that it was all thanks to the man who had just changed their lives forever. The days leading up to the trip to New York were a whirlwind of excitement and preparation. Emma's parents worked tirelessly to get everything ready, while Emma herself could hardly contain her excitement. She had never been on a plane before, and the thought of flying to New York was almost too much to handle. But more than that, she was filled with hope. Hope that the doctors in New York could help her. Hope that she might finally get the treatment she needed to live a normal life. The day of the trip finally arrived, and the family made their way to the airport. As they boarded the plane, Emma's eyes widened in amazement. "It's so big!" she exclaimed, her voice filled with wonder. Sarah and Michael smiled, their hearts swelling with pride. They knew that this trip was a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity, and they were determined to make the most of it. The flight passed quickly, and before they knew it, they were landing in New York. As they stepped off the plane, they were greeted by a team of medical professionals who had been arranged by Trump's team. "Welcome to New York," one of the doctors said, shaking their hands warmly. "We're so excited to have you here. We've been following Emma's story, and we're going to do everything we can to help her." The next few days were a blur of medical tests and consultations. Emma underwent a series of scans and examinations, all designed to give the doctors a better understanding of her condition. It was exhausting, but Emma remained upbeat, her spirits buoyed by the knowledge that she was finally getting the help she needed. Throughout it all, Trump's team kept in close contact with the family, ensuring that they had everything they needed. And then, one day, Trump himself paid them a visit. He arrived at the hospital with a small entourage, but his focus was entirely on Emma. "How are you doing, champ?" he asked, kneeling beside her hospital bed. Emma smiled, her eyes shining with gratitude. "I'm doing great, Mr. Trump," she said. "The doctors are really nice, and they're taking such good care of me." Trump nodded, a smile spreading across his face. "That's what I like to hear," he said. "I knew you were a fighter, Emma, and I know you're going to come out of this stronger than ever." Emma's parents looked on, their hearts filled with gratitude. They knew that without Trump's intervention, none of this would have been possible, and they were determined to make the most of this opportunity, for Emma's sake. As Trump prepared to leave, he turned to Emma one last time. "I'll be checking in on you, Emma," he said, "and I can't wait to see the amazing things you're going to do." Emma smiled, her heart filled with hope. "Thank you, Mr. Trump," she said. "I won't let you down." The weeks that followed were filled with ups and downs. Emma underwent a series of treatments, some of which were painful and difficult, but through it all she remained strong, her spirits buoyed by the support of her family and the knowledge that she was finally getting the help she needed. The doctors were optimistic. They had identified a new treatment plan that they believed could significantly improve Emma's condition. It was a long shot, but it was the best chance they had, and Emma was determined to give it her all. As the treatments progressed, Emma began to show signs of improvement. Her energy levels increased, and she was able to do things she had never been able to do before. She even started to take a few steps on her own, something that had seemed impossible just a few months ago. Her parents watched in awe as their daughter grew stronger every day. They knew that they had Trump to thank for this miracle. Without his intervention, none of this would have been possible, and they were determined to make the most of this opportunity, for Emma's sake. One day, as Emma was undergoing a particularly difficult treatment, Trump paid them another visit. He had been following her progress closely, and he was thrilled to see how well she was doing. "You're amazing, Emma," he said, his voice filled with admiration. "I knew you had it in you." Emma smiled, her eyes shining with gratitude. "Thank you, Mr. Trump," she said. "I couldn't have done it without you." Trump's visit was a turning point for Emma. It gave her the strength and determination she needed to keep going, even when the treatments were tough. And as the weeks turned into months, she continued to improve, her condition stabilizing, and her quality of life improving dramatically. By the time the family was ready to return home, Emma was a different child. She was stronger, more confident, and filled with hope for the future. And she knew that she had Trump to thank for it. When the family returned home, they were greeted with a hero's welcome. The entire town had been following Emma's journey, and they were thrilled to see her doing so well. The local news station even did a special segment on her, highlighting her incredible progress and the role that Trump had played in making it all possible. Emma's parents were overwhelmed by the outpouring of support. They knew that they had been given a second chance, and they were determined to make the most of it. They started a foundation in Emma's name, dedicated to helping other children with rare brain disorders get the care they needed. Emma, meanwhile, continued to thrive. She started school again, and for the first time in her life, she was able to keep up with her peers. She even joined a local soccer team, something that would have been unthinkable just a few months ago. As the months passed, Emma's story began to spread. She was invited to speak at events, sharing her journey and inspiring others to never give up. And through it all, she remained humble and grateful, always remembering the man who had made it all possible. Years later, Emma's story continued to inspire millions. She had grown into a confident, determined young woman, and she was determined to use her platform to make a difference. She became an advocate for children with rare diseases, working tirelessly to ensure that they had access to the care and support they needed. And through it all, she never forgot the man who had changed her life. She often spoke about Trump in her speeches, thanking him for his kindness and generosity. "Mr. Trump gave me hope when I had none," she would say, "and because of him, I'm able to live the life I always dreamed of." Trump, meanwhile, continued to follow Emma's progress with pride. He often spoke about her in his own speeches, using her story as an example of the power of hope and determination. "Emma is a true hero," he would say, "and I'm honored to have played a small part in her journey." Emma's story became a symbol of hope and resilience, inspiring millions around the world. And as she continued to make a difference in the lives of others, she knew that she was living proof that anything is possible with a little bit of hope and a lot of determination.